Hey everybody, happy Tuesday. Hope everyone's week is off to a great start. Coach Coral here. We are live for another round of Training Tip Tuesday. So today we're going to be talking about an issue that a lot of athletes deal with over at some point during the course of training or racing. Oftentimes it develops from running. Any guesses? IT band pain or IT band syndrome. So the IT band runs from your hip down to your knee on the lateral or the outside of your leg. And oftentimes the pain that we find manifests itself right towards the lateral part of the knee. So there's some misconceptions about what causes this and how to best deal with it. And I will preface this by saying that though I am a certified tri coach, personal trainer, and have dealt personally with this issue and helped many athletes through it, I am not a physical therapist. I am not a doctor of chiropractic medicine. So if you have a particular case that you are dealing with and you use your judgment, go see someone who has very deep professional expertise with this experience and this issue if you are not able to resolve it with these steps that I'm outlining, or you've already tried them and it's not getting better. It can definitely pay off dividends to go see someone for treatment. However, we're going to cover today 3 ways to manage the pain, make it feel better, and then help prevent it down the line with some consistency in routine. So the step number 1, so actually let me back up just a second. So IT band pain, many times we think, or the conversation around IT band pain is, oh, that it's caused by tightness. Just foam roll it out and you'll be good to go. There's a couple things wrong with that argument. So the IT band is actually a band of fascia, which is a non-stretchy piece of soft tissue. So your IT band itself really can't get super tight or super loose. It's not very stretchy. So what we actually are looking at with step number 1, which is myofascia release or loosening of a tissue to alleviate tension on the IT band, is we're looking at the TFL, the tensor fascia lata. And that is a very small muscle right at the top of the hip that is attached to the IT band. And if the TFL is overactive, which oftentimes it is in runners and cyclists, and also compounding with sitting quite often, that little TFL muscle does a lot of overtime to help compensate and try to provide some stability. So by loosening the TFL as well as the quads, the hamstrings, the glutes, and the hip stabilizers, you'll see a little bit of a release through that IT band. But I do want to set the record straight that we're not foam rolling the IT band itself to try and stretch it out. That's not what we're going for. It's really loosening up the tissue around it and that TFL that's attached to the IT band itself. So that's number 1. And along with the foam roller, a few other things to look at are massage. We can also go see someone that does active release therapy or active release technique, ART. And then you can also look at, from time to time, IT band issues are due to misalignment of the hips or other body parts that affect the hips. So if you may wish to seek also chiropractic treatment if you have some sort of misalignment that is leading to some stress on that IT band. So looking a little bit more at why IT band pain occurs. So think of the hips as we're here, okay? So say this is the hip, all right? So the hip, and then you've got, sorry, my camera's backwards, then the knee. So if your hips are stable when you hit the ground your knee is not going to crash inwards, okay? If your hips are not very stable, you'll start to get some extra internal rotation on that knee that, again, places strain on that IT band and can cause inflammation and irritation. So by strengthening the core muscles as well as the hip stabilizers, you're removing that factor of the additional internal rotation, and we're talking thousands, potentially thousands of repetitions of that internally rotating or kind of knee crashing going on during a run. And so by strengthening the hip stabilizers, we'll talk about this in a second about how, but by strengthening the hip stabilizers as well as the core muscles, they play a key role here, we can help eliminate that factor. And that's actually one of the best preventive measures that we can take going forward by strengthening and strength training consistently. We're talking 2 to 3 days a week minimum throughout your training cycles. That can play a key piece in first off, rehabbing this issue as well as preventing it going forward. And then the third and probably least popular factor in helping to recover from this condition is taking a look at whether or not you need to rest that area completely while it heals, or modifying your training plan a bit to include activities that don't place so much stress on the IT band while some of that inflammation goes down, or scaling back some of your mileage. So I know it's not the most fun, but again, not pushing through, and sometimes you can run through this issue if it's not incredibly inflamed. However, you want to be very diligent day after day after day while you're in the process of healing to make sure that you're not doing any additional damage to that area, that you're actually on your way up in the healing process. So, in full disclosure, this is actually something that I have dealt with from time to time, currently coming off some IT band issues myself. And I'm following this exact protocol, and within a week, I've started to see a difference. However, I personally am still pulling back some of my running and cycling mileage, increasing some time in the pool. Some other things that you could consider doing along with those suggestions that I just mentioned is perhaps looking at the elliptical, maybe riding a road bike versus a tri bike for a little bit. If that positioning, that tri bike positioning is a bit aggressive for your knee, whatever helps, do those things. So looking at, I want to tack back to what sorts of things should we be looking at with strengthening the hips and strengthening the core. So one of the best pieces of equipment that you can invest in, and I don't have one right here, otherwise I'd show you, is a mini band or resistance loop. So or you can even use a TheraBand, a length of it tied into a circle. And so we can look at, and I'll type these out, but we're looking at initially just starting in a very stable environment, strengthening the external or the lateral hip stabilizers rather, and the core and the glutes. So things like clamshells, lateral leg raises, front planks, side planks, hip bridges. Those are fantastic exercises to shore up that hip region and that core to make sure that you are super strong. And you can do, a good starting point is about 3 sets of 10 repetitions of each of those, and you can do them as many as 4 to 5 days a week, depending on your time. So, but if you're starting from 0, scale up, use pain as a guide. Again, if you're exacerbating the situation, scale back and then get back at it as you are able. So once you have started and have done those for a week or two, and again, using pain as your guide, You can progress to more unstable environments that focus on single leg stability and single leg movement. Because again, a lot of this originates from instability in running where you are operating on a single foot basis, unilateral basis. So looking at things like standing on a Bosu ball on one foot while catching a ball, you can either throw the ball against the wall and catch it on the rebound in different locations. Side lunges, single leg, calf raises, and eccentric heel drops. Do a lunge matrix. There are so many different things that you can do that will challenge your body to learn how to respond well and maintain stability when you are only on one foot. And then from there, you can even progress to plyometric and explosive movements that further enhance your stability and your strength and your functionality in that sort of space. So to recap, IT band issues are not just from tightness, and the IT band is not the tight piece here. More often than not, it's from tight musculature or muscle dysfunction in and around the hips and the knees. So you're looking at loosening the musculature through myofascial release or manual therapy. We're looking at rest and or modifying our training plan for a bit while we recover. And then most key here for the long-term success of your rehab and then prevention of recurrence is strengthening the core and strengthening the hips. So if anybody has any questions about a more structured plan on how to work through this, please send me a message, let me know. But I hope these tips have been helpful and that you never have to deal with IT band pain again. Stay strong, have a great week, and happy training.